Hello and welcome to another edition of Sartorial Talks. Today we're here with Hugo and Cosmas Kakaris, who is a one-man band doing everything behind the scenes. And we're going to speak to you about something that we haven't addressed before, and that is the Sartorial Emergency. And we have about 9 to present to you, 8 with solutions, and 1 we're going to ask you for a little bit of help to come up with a solution for the particular issue. Hello, Hugo, how are you?
I'm very good. I just want to make a little comment because somebody, when you say that Cosmas, our co-producer, is a one-man band, maybe they wait for him to play the music.
Ooh, yeah,
no,
I don't know if he can.
We say he's a one-man band because he's operating a lot of cameras alone, and he's operating the sound and the lighting.
3 cameras,
so, yeah,
sound, lighting,
we just
expert.
wanted to pay him a tribute because
Yes.
he's working very hard, and also Greg is working very hard on the editing.
Yes.
So we are in the front of the camera, but sometimes it's good to remember that there's a full team behind the Sartorial Talks. So let's talk about emergencies. What do you mean by Sartorial emergencies?
Well, you may know or you may not know that Hugo and myself and Lal Roblin, our photographer, went to Italy to put together a book called The Italian Gentleman.
That's right.
And because we were there for 3 years, we basically left home. We didn't have a home because Italy became our home. And we encountered a lot of sartorial emergencies.
That's for sure.
And because of this experience, we thought, why not talk about it today and let you know what we did to solve the problems.
Yeah, you talk about, in this case, Sartorial Emergency on the move, because we'll be pretty much on the move for a solid 3 years.
Exactly.
Do you remember how many suitcases we ended with?
Oh, 20-something.
21.
Yeah, we had a picture.
At the end of this incredible journey to write our second book, The Italian Gentleman, which is, I think it's been reprinted already 6 times or something like that. At the end, we had 21 suitcases. I remember we went to the last Petit Uomo before going back to France, and we had to hire 3 guys or 4 guys to help us load the train.
And we can say we never had a porter before. This was our first, but there was no options. What were we going to do? We couldn't handle that many.
Exactly. And so we had to face on the move a lot of different kind of emergencies. And let's go inside the subject, because it's going to be interesting, it's going to be intriguing, and I believe a lot of fun. But I have no idea what you're going to talk about.
Okay, first one, I'll give you the scenario.
Yes.
We were at Petit Uomo, and I had my blue and white check suit on from Sartorial Talks, which was quite a flashy suit. So I had to play it down with a lot of just white, solid colors.
Yeah, beautiful suit, by the way.
And you happened to match that day. That wasn't planned. I believe that you were wearing Perozzi, the blue Perozzi.
Or maybe Sartorial Mana? No, Perozzi maybe,
Perozzi.
whatever. Yeah,
anyway,
blue and
so what happened was the day before, it was my first day at Petit Uomo, and so I decided that I would just go for it the first day, visit all the places inside the trade show, meet as many people as I could, walk to the restaurant at night, just do everything that I could to make the most of the day, the first day. Well, guess what? That night I had a horrific problem with both my feet on the heels.
You couldn't walk anymore.
I couldn't walk.
You couldn't even walk in the hotel room.
No,
you couldn't walk anymore.
And with shoes on. The only way I could walk is if I were barefoot. Fortunately, by chance, I had some leather slippers, which were, I think, something that Bonafé gifted me with.
I think it's a fantastic pair of Bonafé.
Yes.
Made by Enzo Bonafé himself. It was a prototype, I guess.
It was. At the time, it was for a Hollywood actress who had commissioned this. He made me promise not to say their names.
Okay, whatever.
Anyway, so I was just going to walk around the hotel room in these slippers, but thankfully, I could wear them the next day. Okay, they were black. They didn't really go with a blue checked suit, but I could attend Petit the next day. Otherwise, I would be in the hotel room and you would have gone alone.
So you're talking about slippers without
backs? No backs.
No backs. So
no
that's
backs.
Real slippers. Like, okay. That's very interesting. To be honest, I don't see myself too much in backless slippers. But, well, I mean, I have a pair. that I wear sometimes at home. For me,
Yes.
it's more home slipper. But you're right. At least you can wear this without going barefoot.
That's right. And remember, we just did a sartorial talk not long ago that was on the several different types of shoes that you may want to own.
Right. That's right.
And one was the slipper. So if you're in the market for a slipper, why not just get a backless slipper that you can take with you in case, if you're on a long trip especially, you have that as an option if you have an issue with your feet.
You're talking of a situation of your feet that, the Band-Aid will not suffice.
No,
it was not
it's
sufficient. It was more than that.
No.
Do you remember one day I had my feet in blood, literally? Anyway, that's
yes,
a long
I do.
story
That was
because in Petit Womo,
crazy.
you are. One good thing about Petit Womo is that all of us, we lose weight. Even if we eat a lot at night and drink with the friends, we lose a lot of weight because we walk kilometers and kilometers.
And when your feet were bleeding, you actually had a semi-bespoke shoe on. Okay. And, it just reminded me of us. What we did was we started asking shoemakers, how long does it take to break in a shoe?
Yes.
Do you remember the answer? How many
Yes.
hours of walking?
I think it was 24 hours.
24 hours of walking.
Paulo Scafora told us, he didn't make the shoe, but he told us, you need a solid 24 hours. And the mistake I did was directly to put bespoke shoes and to walk like 20 hours without stopping. And so that was... Anyway, that's the first one.
This is the first one. Okay, the second one is, and we've covered this before, so I won't spend too long on it, but you go to a hotel, and Hugo is an ironing freak. He always has to iron everything. Even if it looks ironed, he re-irons. I'm not. I'm a slouch when it comes to
That's the first thing
ironing.
I ask in a hotel, do you have an iron? In the room.
Yes,
and in
exactly.
Italy, it's forbidden. I don't know why. You never have an iron in the room. It's forbidden.
It's a fire code thing, I believe.
Probably.
It's something like that. Yeah. But so we, over time, found this solution, and it's not hanging your shirt in the shower.
Well, it can work in the long run.
To magically make the wrinkles disappear. It doesn't happen. Typically, it just doesn't happen. So what we learned is that if you have a wrinkled item, when you remove it from your suitcase, put it on, take a wet cloth, just a nice white wet cloth, cold water, rub it all over the wrinkles.
Yes.
Allow it to dry, and poof, you automatically have a 75%, I'm estimating, increase in in terms of a wrinkle-free item.
And do you do it on yourself, right? Directly wearing the thing?
Yes, directly on yourself.
So that's a wet T-shirt at the end. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
I wasn't going to go in that direction, but that's okay. So you understand.
Yeah, I understand. I saw you.
And you've seen me do it many times.
I've seen you many, many times. And I must say, it works. It's not very orthodox.
No, it's not.
I would really want to go to some orthodoxy, I will go on to the reception in Italy, put myself on my knees, do the gestures and Mamma Mia, I can't go outside without an iron. Do something for me.
They usually take it and run an iron.
Yeah, normally
that's true.
We find a way. But the wet cloth is a very efficient and much more efficient. Because for me, this putting your shirt in the steam of the bathroom, it's an urban legend for me. Because when you don't have time, it doesn't work. You need maybe to have time to do this, but the wet clothes works perfectly.
You want to see an example? Go back to the Sartorial Talk on hacks, and you'll see an example of that going on.
That's correct.
All right, the next problem is, and you've had this problem more than I have, which is kind of surprising.
I don't know what she's going to say.
You're at a restaurant and you have a stain. You're eating, the food pops onto your shirt or your suit. One friend you had at Petit Womo, remember the waitress dropped a clump of pate?
Oh, he will recognize. It's Jean-Manuel Moreau. Jean-Manuel Moreau. Jean-Manuel, if you look at this show, I'm sorry I have to work, because literally the waiter, it was a big piece of pate.
Yes.
That went on his shoulder. And I remember Jean-Manuel trying to keep his calm. And he has a big pate on his shoulder, and he was like that, literally.
He was frozen.
He was frozen.
And everyone else was laughing.
Well, everybody was laughing on the floor, literally, because the situation was so odd. But I understand that was not agreeable. So I don't know what happened to his jacket, because thank God some Italian can be quite crafty, and they know a little bit more about menswear than we do. But, well, it happens a lot to me also. I explained to you something. One day, I have a good friend in France. His name is Philippe Bloch. He's a famous business writer. And he says that complexity, he's explaining the difference between something complicated and something complex. Well, let's say, for example, he says, driving a plane, how do you say, operating a plane.
Piloting, right?
What?
Piloting
a plane is complicated because there's a lot of buttons, there's a lot of things to know. But if you learn, maybe you can make it because you just have to have the skills and you learn how to pilot a plane. Okay, that's being complicate things. Complexity is something else. And he's taking the example of a spaghetti with some tomato sauce on it. That's complexity because at the moment you take your fork and your knife and you do some good spaghetti with ragu. We call it spaghetti bolognese in France, spaghetti bolognese. There's so many interaction between the fork, the spaghetti, the tomato sauce, your gesture, your mood, the gesture you make, the speed in which the spaghetti is going to raise, and that at one moment, all the time, the tomato sauce will end right there.
Jumps on your shirt.
Exactly.
Yes.
That's complex.
It is.
That is to say, you can learn everything about spaghettis, you can learn everything about tomato sauce, you can learn everything about how to handle a fork. In the end, the sauce always wins.
Almost always.
Almost always.
Yes.
Well, then you can just react, so you can't control. I'm sorry for this little story, but I think it's a fantastic story.
That was a very sophisticated jump, and I appreciate that. But I will go back to an actual experience.
She's American, I'm French. I have to tell stories, so you have to go right to the point. I love that story.
Americans can appreciate sophistication. Don't worry. But this reminds me, and just now, I did not plan this, of a story.
Well, we don't plan anything here, that's the point.
Well, some things we do. But so your mom and dad were with us in Amsterdam, and we were taking a walk. You know, it's beautiful there. So many amazing architectural sites, and the water is running through the town. Anyway, so we were taking a walk. We sat down outside to eat, and your father had some wine. Yeah. And he spilled the wine on his brand new trousers. Yeah, I remember. And everybody was like, our heart just sank because we knew they were new. Yeah. Okay. Hugo's mom, she's right 99.9% of the time. Yeah. So she was like, just leave it. We get to it later, you know, in French. And so I was like, okay, this one thing I know. You have to get water on it, cold water on it immediately because I've experienced this for 20 years. Yes. So if you get a stain of anything, spaghetti sauce, wine, any kind of problem.
You have like 30 seconds or
no, you have 3 minutes.
3 minutes.
To get to the bathroom, get cold water and drench the stain.
And dilute it. Go for it.
And it comes out, I think, almost every time. Even I've gotten mustard out like that, which is probably the most difficult.
I remember when we spoke about this on our blog, Parisian Gentleman, we receive insert letters from dry cleaners, of course, because they say, you don't know anything. Water will just make the stain going bigger. It is not true. It works, but the thing is time sensitive.
Time sensitive, yes.
You have to take a wet cloth with water or whatever you have under your at your hand, and then you rub with water.
You rub. Of course, you don't want to damage the material, but it's I guess it amounts to diluting whatever the contaminant is, and it just doesn't have time to set in typically. So this is based solely on experience. Yes. Anyone else wants to chime in on the comment section? We're all ears.
Yeah, and this is a solution for the spaghetti sauce, which is the most complex thing in the world because this is everybody has experienced a sauce specifically with spaghettis.
Exactly. And the waiter or waitress will usually bring the clear soda water, which is excellent too.
Okay, let's continue.
Let's keep going.
I can't believe we spent 10 minutes speaking about spaghetti sauce, but that's fine. We love it.
Let's talk about something simple. Now, I don't think we're the only ones that have had this problem. You're traveling and you feel like you've done a good job preparing, and you put everything together and you look down and your socks are clashing with your outfit. And it's a small thing in life, but it's a little bit annoying. Like you feel like you have to hide your ankles because you've got this just this clash that's ruining everything in your mind. It's probably more in your mind than anybody else's mind. So
well, it depends. I've seen catastrophes of people really dressed well.
That bothers you.
And with some socks that were really like green socks with strange. It was really clashing. And then when you say hello to somebody and you look at these socks, it's not a good sign, you know?
I'll tell you a secret. So you saw Hugo. He was a little bit frozen and stammering just for like 2 or 3 seconds. The little things bother him so much. If we have crumbs on a table,
oh my gosh,
he can only look at the crumbs and he can't relax till the crumbs are gone. I can see how the sock thing would bother you.
Yes, that's right.
People are going to torture you with crumbs.
I got a light disease on that. It can take my head to see crumbs, but the same thing for the socks. I can very quickly focus on somebody else's socks.
I could see that reaction.
And so what's the solution?
Try all the socks you brought, but turn them inside out. Reverse them and turn them inside out. Chances are you'll at least find a better alternative. Give it a try. It's worked for me many times. Last shoot, I think I turned my socks inside out.
Yeah, and I can give you another, a little bit more precise advice on that. Recently, I don't know if this show will be broadcasted before or after, but we recorded 2 days ago a show with our friend from Mes Chaussettes Rouges, My Red Socks, very important people in the world of quality socks. And they gave her this trick, and now one of the most popular socks out there is what we call the ribbed socks. That is to say, you have a color, a dominant color, but when you stretch the sock a little bit, you have another hidden color.
Yes.
But they are reversible. So, for example, you can have blue socks with, I don't know, an orange rib, but very discreet. But then if you turn on the way, it's the reverse.
Inside out. We say inside out.
Sorry.
Yes.
So it can be also, this kind of sock can save you because literally you buy one pair of ribbed socks and you have 2 pairs because you can change the color. That's
an intentional design element.
Exactly.
But with some socks, you don't even... It's not even intentional,
it's intentional,
and it works.
Probably because they've been studying the subject, and a lot of people are confronted sometimes. Oh my gosh, everything's perfect, but my socks is ruined. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, I must say, just come to my mind right now. We understand we are talking about first world problems. We're talking about socks, we're talking about stains, we're talking about spaghetti. There's a lot of people who would love to have spaghetti stains on there, so we should never forget that. Nevertheless, this is our subject of, let's continue about that, but let's always remember...
I'm glad you said that, because I was getting a little lost in the moment. So thanks for putting that into perspective.
Yeah, I mean, it's just because sometimes, we are so much immersed in our world that sometimes... Are we really speaking about spaghetti sauce and socks to put inside out? But we do, because at the same time, all this is part of a broader subject that we are advocating for. It's beauty. And beauty is never far from love and kindness and compassion and all these things that are really important for us. I'm sorry, I just closed the bracket. I just wanted, as a little reminder, that what we do is not, when we speak about catastrophes, we talk about sartorially speaking, of course.
Of course, yes.
Okay, let's continue, darling.
Okay, let's continue. So I said the sock issue would be quick.
Yeah.
Wasn't so quick. Maybe the next one will be quick.
Okay.
Okay. What happens when you bring your bespoke shoes or your favorite shoes from your favorite shoe source and you're traveling and you forgot your...
I don't know what you're talking about. I'm
sorry. Trying to put your shoes on.
Yeah.
You can't
you don't have a shoehorn.
You forgot your shoehorn.
And specifically or even at the end of a trip in a plane, when your feet are 2 times bigger.
You take your shoes off and then you, ooh.
Sometimes even putting them on is like, it's a catastrophe.
Oh, that's a good point.
This is very difficult.
About the plane issue.
Yeah.
So in your mind, I'll give you a few seconds. What would you use in place?
Well, in a plane,
you already know you can't. But if you don't have a shoehorn,
a fork.
You already knew.
I just saw this written on your paper.
A fork works great, and even most of the time, a knife, but the fork's already curved, sort of like a shoe.
A spoon make it.
And I've used a spoon before, which can be too curved, but. So a utensil, it can work many, many times. So give that a try.
Yeah.
If you don't have an option, I think you'll find that it works.
Well, but the better, I think we did a show recently. I think it was broadcasted before this one on the things you should always have with you, and you should always have a little shoehorn.
Right, of course.
In your briefcase.
That's
this
the point.
is so important.
A little
Let's
plastic
continue.
one. It's
Let's
nothing,
continue.
So. All right. This one is a story that you love. Hugo was late to the Sartorial game, as I was, to get a semi-formal outfit. And now you had Lorenzo Cifanelli craft for you your first semi-formal tuxedo.
Let me define the word, because the word. No. It's just because my wife is very precise. When she speaks about semi-formal, for most of the people who are listening to this show, they think, what is semi-formal? Semi-formal
right?
is a tuxedo or smoking or whatever you call it. What we call formal is the jacket, it's the white tie. We call it la jaquette in French, or l'habit. That is to say, the thing you can't button and you wear with a white bow tie. So that's very formal. So very few people, I don't even owe one of that. So you were talking about
and
tuxedo.
I guess a morning suit would fall, I think, in the semi-formal.
Semi-formal too, but let's say tuxedo so that people understand that.
I'm not sure about that in terms of a morning suit, whether it's semi-formal or formal. So
it is formal, but for the day.
Yeah, exactly.
It is formality for the day. It's a morning suit, and formality for the night. It's called the white tie.
Right. I just wasn't sure of the exact classification.
Okay, whatever. That's not the subject.
Let's keep going.
No tuxedo.
So, yes, where were we? You take over the story. Where were we?
Oh, wow. There was a very interesting story because, I think we were a little bit in our early days in Sartorial world. I would say it was in 2011 or 12. And we were invited last minute as... not in guest of honors, but some kind of a special guest to a professional dinner that happens every year in Savile Row in London. I think it's called the BTBA, the British Tailoring Association dinner or something like that. And this is a very formal event, and we didn't know that we had to dress in smoking. We should have guessed, actually.
But even then, it was in progress.
I didn't have my tuxedo made, and I had no time to rent one. And in my mind, renting tuxedo was not part of my idea. So I remember I had a sport jacket. I'm going to show you this picture. We were with the beautiful family of the Skinner family, Dadge and Skinner. So the Skinner family, William Skinner and Michael Skinner. And I show you the picture now. And I have this sport jacket by Cifanelli. It was a little bit different. So if you travel, you have to do that. Try to have something in the grays with you. Well, this jacket was very interesting because it was piped on the side. So it can maybe, even if it had patch pocket that was highly not formal.
That's right.
And so we rushed, I remember, to the Turnbull and Asser store. And okay, I can give you the secret. I didn't know how to tie a bow tie by myself. I was like, I was an infant in the sartorial world. And so the guy gently tied my bow tie, and I put this, I bought a shirt, I remember, with a marcella, this thing that you have on the front. And then I put on my jacket, and I did it.
Yeah, you had the flair.
But if you have something too light, or
the issue is most people aren't going to suddenly have to go to a formal affair. They're going to maybe know a week or two in advance, but maybe it's not enough time to get a tuxedo or a dinner suit. So what is the option? Gray or black?
Gray or black, yeah. Even if I don't like black suits.
Maybe a bow tie?
Yeah,
and then, for sure. And then get a nice shirt that's maybe classified as a tuxedo style shirt.
Yeah.
This is with the studs
with the hidden buttons.
Yeah, something like...
Exactly.
And a really high-level shirt can save you, I think.
Yeah. So you can still make it, but normally you're right. We are a little bit, this is our rock and roll side. How can you go to the British Tailoring Association dinner and not just guessing that it's going to be black tie?
We were a little stressed, actually.
I was really stressed, but
But it worked.
Yeah, because I have long hair, maybe. That's why it worked.
No, maybe. They just thought that's you.
Let's go to the next one.
Okay, let's go to the next one. Oh, boy.
Which one?
How many times has my luggage been lost? since we've known each other.
I'm going to tell a whole story later. Yeah, many, many times.
It's always my luggage too.
Yeah,
and you were laughing for so many times. Oh, your luggage lost, and then your luggage got lost.
Yeah.
Remember, you weren't laughing at all, and you became a nervous wreck for the next 5 flights.
Exactly.
So, what do you do if you're going somewhere and your luggage isn't delivered?
And you need to be elegant.
You need to be elegant.
Yeah.
You have to be dressed. What do?
It's
an easy solution.
Yeah. Well, it's an easy solution, but it's at the same time, it's very unusual for the people to see that. You travel fully dressed. That is to say, when you take your plane, you are fully dressed up with your shoes, with your ties, with your shirt, with your suit, and whatever happens, now we have it's a policy for us.
Yes.
If we go somewhere, and well, that's our job, so we have to be fully dressed practically all the time. Now we travel elegantly. That is to say, when we jump in the plane, we are fully tied up. And everybody's looking at us like we are falling from the moon.
Didn't you go a little overboard? This is just a plane trip. This is what people are thinking.
Yeah, people are crazy.
Have you never flown before? Are you really excited?
Yeah, they look at us like with France we say it's my first communion. You know, this is the first time that I dress up, and so it's particularly when it's a long haul, like we go to America, 7 hours, 8 hours, and we know we have to be elegant, or even to Japan, like 12 hours, 13 hours. We always fly suited.
And if there's a problem, you're the first person to get help.
Oh, yeah, but that's another thing because it pays a lot of dividends.
It's crazy.
First of all, when you go at a desk, believe me, so many times, even when we are flying economy class, people will ask us to come on the business desk because only we had a suit and a tie. But it's so funny, even the stewards and the flight attendant, they look at us and say, "Oh, sir and miss, you are so elegant."
And sometimes when we're in economy class, twice this has happened, they bring champagne or wine from first class to us.
So that's a little trick. Yeah. So ladies and gentlemen, okay. You don't care about these tourists with their big shorts, their big flip-flops, and their T-shirts. They're going to look at you bizarrely and say, how can these people fly in a suit and a tie? You don't care about that. But when you enter the plane, you can immediately feel the difference. People are kinder with you, they respect you, and so many times, you remember this flight, okay, it was on Air France. The flight attendant, she was bringing us wine after wine after wine and champagne and cognac from first class.
And we weren't in first class.
Yeah, because we were just in premium economy, a little bit better than economy, but not in business. And then she said, "Oh, you're so elegant. We're going to really treat you." So that's something, I thought I wrote an article back in the years on Parisian German to say why you should always travel elegantly because it pays great dividends.
But we went on a tangent again. So the point is your luggage is lost and you now have an outfit.
You see, she's always bringing me back to the point.
One time we wore the same outfit for 2.5 weeks.
Yeah, well, and maybe a little bit less, but this is how we remind it.
Oh, maybe so, but in my mind it was 2.5
Okay,
weeks.
Yeah, one day, well, can we tell the story?
Sure.
Okay. Before Sonya was an official French and Schengen resident, we didn't calculate the days because we were traveling so much. And then one day we wanted to go to Madrid, I remember, and we had to go through Amsterdam. And then at 6 o'clock in the morning, there was a young guy at the border and said, "Sorry, madam, you overstayed." And we said, what is he talking about? We overstayed us, and then what is that?
I overstayed, not you.
Yeah, and so Sonya said to me, okay, go to Madrid. The guy said, you have to fly back to Canada. We're coming from Canada. And I said, no way, I stay with you.
And all your friends were saying, you guys will be fine. Let her go, and it's fine.
And so we decided, what's the solution we have? And the only option we had was to go to London because American citizens have the right to stay 6 months in the UK for some kind of an agreement between the two countries. So we decided to take a plane in London. And guess what? Of course, our luggage was already on the belt outside, and we were blocked.
In Spain.
Yeah, and so our luggage were continuing to Spain. Spain,
Yes.
and we were going to London.
Exactly.
So, of course, when we arrived in London, despite the fact they say, well, we're going to handle, don't worry, our luggage never made it to London. So we stayed in London for a couple of days, and then somebody in Spain received our luggage, and then he sent them back. But the moment we received the luggage, we were
somewhere else.
We were somewhere else,
yes.
like I don't remember, in France or in Germany. No, not in France. You were not allowed. But anyway, we were not. So for 2 weeks and a
Maybe the
half,
US.
our luggage were always one day
Behind us.
behind us. We couldn't get our luggage. It was becoming like a comedy almost.
It was crazy.
And then once again, I was wearing a Dalcore suit. You were wearing a
Chiffonelli blue on
blue blazer, and we've been wearing the same suit for 2 weeks.
When we went to some place where we had to dress.
Yes, because of course when you're abroad you can always buy a t-shirt and a pair of jeans, but having a bespoke suit is a little bit complicated
Yes.
to have, and even to buy a suit for. So that's a funny story. So the message is dress elegantly when you travel.
And I would add, maybe have a little small carry-on bag with some essentials.
Exactly. That's what we do more and more,
Now,
actually,
yes,
an
right.
extra shirt.
Right.
But we couldn't believe that it will happen to us.
No, we didn't
And I
believe
remember
that.
the face of my wife when we were in London, and we knew our luggage would not be here. And when we traveled with 3, 4, 5 suits. And I will never forget the way she looked at me. She was so miserable.
It's
We were
okay.
so tired.
It worked out.
But now we laugh about that.
That's true. And most terrible things that happen, not all, but many, you end up laughing about later.
Yes, of course,
So, yeah,
of course,
of course.
because at the end it's just about suits.
That's right.
Okay, what's the next one?
All right, the next one, there's 2 more.
Okay.
The next one, we don't know the answer to. So we're going to ask anyone out there who knows the answer to chip in and give us some ideas. Because
Yes.
this has happened to Hugo 2 or 3 times.
Unfortunately, I know this one.
Go.
I don't know how to say it in English. It's when you crack your pants.
It's when your pants rip.
Oh, you don't say crack.
No, well, I don't care. You can.
Okay, in France,
You can.
we say craquer son pantalon.
Yeah, there you
So
go.
I remember I was once in Amsterdam. You were not with me. I was with Greg, and we were going there for some real estate reasons. And then I was dressed with this very suit, actually.
That one, yes.
And then we had some kind of formal appointment, and then we were just there for the day. So I didn't have any change. And then I remember very well, even my son remembers this very well. I was entering the car of the real estate, and I did this, and I heard...
It was a real estate woman, too.
Yes, it was a woman. And guess what? My underwears were pink. You remember that?
I do. Pink flowers.
And
They
pink
were.
flowers, literally. Psychedelic
Yeah,
underwears.
exactly.
And then I was literally ripped from...
This sounds crazy, but I have to say the style was like what are the trunks, the underwear trunks called that hug you? What kind of, I don't know, men's underwear talk. Like
Me neither.
It
I'm
was
just
the
kidding.
trunks that have the elastic. So it wasn't a little tiny pair of pink flowers. I just want people to get images of
I don't
you
understand
wearing
what you
some-
said. A boxer?
I don't want people, it was like boxers only with Lycra. Keep going. Continue.
Okay, so I was here. And so, when I was standing up, everybody will see some kind of pink underwear because it was really totally ripped off. And I had no solution, so I spent the whole day in Amsterdam visiting flats. I mean, beautiful flats with my pink underwear.
Ripped
But I had
flats.
to explain to the woman and say, well, that's what happened. And I had no solution. So, well, if somebody has a solution for that, I don't know, maybe it was some tape or something like
I
that.
have no idea. You know,
No?
we usually carry duct tape around with you. First thing is wear underwear.
Yeah.
That's my first
That's for sure.
recommendation.
That's for sure.
And then the second thing is help. We don't know.
And
we don't know
avoid
what to
pink
do.
underwear when you have business appointments.
something
I'm just
strange.
kidding. Okay.
Okay.
We are telling our private life a little
but
bit.
hey,
It's funny.
trying to connect these simple sartorial things with more meaningful things.
But we have no solution for this one.
No,
So
we
if you
don't.
have a solution,
Let us know.
of course, apart going to a tailor, finding a guy with a needle and a thread, that's easy. But I had no time. My time was really packed, so I had no
Right.
solution to continue like that.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Okay, to conclude.
Yeah.
The last thing that we want to talk about, the last sartorial problem, is when you're missing a button.
Or when you lose a button at the wrong moment.
Yes.
Yeah.
And, you know, some of us keep wearing the jacket or the pants, even though we can tell the button is about to go, it's about to go, it's about to go, you're hanging on. Finally, the button's gone. Or it may be a surprise, it just pops.
Yeah,
and the
you speak
button's
about
gone.
shirts mainly. This
Shirts,
is the most
but
complicated.
I mean, you can use it in other areas too if you need to.
Okay.
So what is the solution?
So the solution is called a button. We spoke about that in our former show, one of the former shows, because as we record all these shows constantly, we don't know which one's going to be broadcasted. But I think the one, it was about accessories that people should own. We talked about this little thing called a button. So what is a button? It's a free button. That you can, it's opening like that. It has a pinch. You can pinch it. So if you lose, for example, a button on your shirt, you just pinch this button and you close it at the back and hop, you have a button.
Ready to go,
once again.
just like
It's
that.
been invented by our friend Victic Cufflinks.
Name's Alan.
Alan. Alan is in the UK.
Yes.
And he's a very good guy. He's a very interesting man. He's doing some beautiful cufflinks and stuff like that. And he invented this and he said, what, that's a good idea. Everybody should have. So he's selling them by, I don't know exactly,
It
by
depends
4.
on how many you buy, right? It's
4.
under 100 euros, depending on how many you buy.
Not 100
Not a
euro
piece,
for a button,
at least
for
4
or
right.
5, So this can say, is this mother of pearl? It's beautiful. You have different sizes. And then this can really save you if you lose a button. Everybody knows this situation. You are at a reception or you are at a wedding, or even worse, you are at a very important business meeting and you don't wear a tie. You know what, people? Because when you wear a tie, if you lose a button, you can still make it, you know?
Right.
But if you don't wear a tie, and we live in a tie-less world more and more, and it's normally this button of the shirt that goes out, not the one at the bottom, it's this one, exactly where you are really embarrassed. Right. So you just pinch it, put this back, and your shirt is perfect. Even if it's not exactly the same color, it doesn't really matter.
He has some different options with another pearl, taller buttons, summer buttons, white backs, metal backs.
It's
and
a
anyway, whenever
accessory.
we can't find them, we really get mad because we've come to depend on these.
Exactly.
So,
exactly.
Yes.
That's a very, very useful little object.
Yes. So in conclusion, whether you have blisters, your button pops off, you don't have an iron, there's a stain, your socks clash, you have no shoehorn, you need a tuxedo, you don't have a tuxedo, or your pants rip, which you're going to help us with, I hope. We hope this episode has given you some solutions and is something you can turn to and apply in your real life. And let us know.
I have something to
say.
add. Yeah, because I think the ultimate solution for everything that we just said, I know it's not easy, but I would say don't lose your sense of humor, because after all, you're not in danger. Okay, you can be a little bit ridiculous here and there, but you're not in danger. And second, it's maybe more important, don't take yourself too seriously.
And I will add something to that, too.
Yes. Another
thing is to take the awkwardness out of the situation. Sometimes it's just better to explain to someone what's going on. Remember, of course. Our good friend Erwin, when he had his luggage lost, he would just say, I'm sorry, I'm dressed like this. My luggage was lost. Everybody understood immediately, and it took the awkwardness out of the situation.
That's the same when my pant was ripped and I have a pink butt. I had to say, I'm sorry, don't try to hide it.
Right,
and don't lose your sense of humor.
Yes.
And sometimes you will notice that it can create some good moments even, and sometimes some moments that are memorable. And this is something that a lot of people believe that in this sartorial world is full of stiff people, very formal people, very, people full of manners, overdressed, egocentric, and all that kind of. This is not true.
It's not true.
In our world, you have really, really funky people and very interesting people who don't take themselves more seriously. And I would finish on that, and you can have the final word.
Well, this episode's been tricky because it's a very unusual episode, and I'll tell you something. When we had a little break, Hugo leaned over to me and said, "This one's kind of weird. Do you think we went too far?"
Yeah.
So I said, I don't know. We'll wait and see what everyone says.
So I want to finish my sentence. I was saying that, I have to say that because sometimes I can't finish my sentence. I'm French.
Sometimes I can't finish my
That's
sentence
right.
too. We have something in common.
That's right.
Oh,
Nevertheless, I want to say the sartorial world has to be joyful. It's not full of stiff people. If you like to dress up, it's for the beauty of the gesture. It's to put yourself at ease, to put people around you at ease. Have fun. Wearing a tie is fun. Wearing beautiful suits is fun. It's not for stiff people with some, stick in the butthole. This is not what. This is what we say in France. Just be free, be cool. And if you rip off your pants, and if you have a solution, write this in the comment section. You have to conclude, darling. That's your job.
That's it, folks. See you next time on Sartorial Talks. Ciao.
Ciao, ciao, cheers.
Cheers.
Bye-bye,
Bye-bye.
au revoir.
Au revoir.